Keir Starmer's grip on the Labour leadership may be weaker than it appears after reports that his most serious internal rival has identified a route back to Parliament. According to The Times, Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham has pinpointed what one source described as a nailed-on Labour seat, following discussions with MPs critical of the Prime Minister's leadership. The newspaper reports Burnham is set to have several potential constituencies open to him, with allies quietly sounding out support among Labour's hard-left socialist campaign group. One MP told the paper that Burnham supporters have even suggested the group could be rewarded with at least one ministerial role in a future cabinet. The socialist campaign group includes figures such as Richard Burgon, along with prominent Jeremy Corbyn allies Diane Abbott and John McDonnell. And just days ago, another member of the group, Clive Lewis, publicly offered Burnham his Norwich seat. The mayor has sought to downplay the speculation, insisting he remains fully focused on his current role. Richard Burgon has attempted to steady nerves, saying that if Labour performs well in the May elections, the Prime Minister will be safe. But he also acknowledged that a poor result would inevitably intensify leadership speculation. He added that many senior figures lack sufficient distance from the Prime Minister to credibly present themselves as a fresh start. Burnham himself has recently stepped up criticism of the government and earlier this year found himself at the centre of leadership rumours as Labour's conference got underway. Those rumours cooled after he acknowledged that as mayor he lacked the leverage to mount a challenge. But with the May 2026 elections approaching and lingering fears of a repeat of 2025 when Nigel Farage's Reform UK made major gains in councils across the country, unease inside Labour is growing. One senior Labour MP told The Times that rival contenders are already circling. "If you are Wes Streeting, what are you waiting for?" they said, warning that MPs are increasingly anxious about what May could bring. Another senior figure was even blunter, claiming Number 10 is completely stuck and suffering from complete inertia, in adding that without change early in the new year, the party risks chaos. If Andy Burnham does seek a return to Parliament, his selection would require approval from Labour's ruling National Executive Committee. He is said to have been assured that NEC would not block his move, though further reports suggest the Prime Minister's chief strategist, Morgan McSweeney, could attempt to keep him off any shortlist. For now, the leadership is projecting calm, but behind the scenes, pressure inside Labour is clearly building.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN plus 4 months extra for free. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
And a story that you'll be interested in, Andy Burnham seems to be on manoeuvres again, hoping to return to Parliament by next summer, it is said. Do you think this is true?
I would hope so. Andy obviously shot this down yesterday, so this is why he left Westminster.
Must be
There's a lot of nonsense.
Yeah,
well, quite. No, I think Andy would be a great replacement for Keir Starmer in this current climate. I think because there isn't a member of the soft left, if you will, that people can really get around. I think people think Angela Rayner could still be tarnished because it's quite soon after her tax
But if
issues.
she's cleared by HMRC, quotes, an inadvertent error, if they say it was an inadvertent error, doesn't that clear her?
I think possibly, but mud sticks, and she may always be known by the public, not necessarily maybe Labour members in that way. The benefit of Andy Burnham is you cannot tie him to any of the unpopular and in many ways ridiculous decisions this government has made. Therefore, it's almost like a clean slate. The potential problem with that is the calls for a general election to allow for this course correction will grow louder by the moment.
Yeah, but they get ignored.
That's my instinct.
The Tories had 3 prime ministers in 1 year.
Yes, which I don't think is good, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think, he could easily get away with 12
Before
months.
I get Malone in here, the risk here for Andy Burnham, even if they find a seat for him, even if he gets a seat in a by-election, who says there's a safe Labour seat anywhere in the country now with reform on the rampage?
So that's where people are mistaken. It shouldn't be a safe Labour seat. With the conversations I've had with Andy Burnham, the seat that clearly was identified is not safe. Now, I actually think that works in Andy Burnham's favour, because if you win this seat, you can actually go to anyone can win Manchester Central or half of Longside or any London seat at the moment, potentially, but against the Greens. If you win a seat that's reformer chasing and actually potentially going to win the councils in May, you can say, and this is why I can beat them in the country. So I actually think who cares about a safe seat? Go
Risky,
for it.
though.
Yeah.
A Greater Manchester Mayor, it's your part. I mean, you're a Northerner, Carol. I mean, it's a big risk. He had to give up the mayoralty.
Really? And Andy says, Matthew says he'd be a great replacement. I don't think he would. He had 2 shots at being Prime Minister before, and he failed miserably.
Yeah.
And because he simply wasn't good enough. He wasn't charismatic enough. He wasn't big enough.
By Ed Miliband.
And being Mayor of Manchester is not going to make him any more attractive. I don't think he's strong enough. But Farage has said he said he wants him to go for it because Farage believes he can beat him in that seat. The seat that he's likely to get
is
Andrew
Gwynn's.
It's Andrew Gwynn's seat, and we know now he's been suspended for a series of WhatsApp messages that were alleged to be racist and whatever. Anyway, so he's been suspended. So that's the seat he's going after. Now, the problem is going to be he might not get that seat until the summer. And the problem is West Streeting is on manoeuvres, as is Shabana Mahmood. They're not going to hang around until the summer before they launch a campaign. They could launch it in January. They could launch it after the May elections, before summer, before he gets a seat. So I think he's on dodgy ground. And if he gives up the mayoralty, which reform will probably win in Manchester, I think, anyway, he's got nothing.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you know him, Miriam?
Oh, no. Well, I do a little bit through Centre for Social Justice. He's very supportive of CSJ's work, so it's been interesting to see what he's doing on education particularly and some of the welfare stuff. I think he's actually tried out some very interesting different policies in Greater Manchester, which I think is actually a service to the whole country because there's not many ways to try out these things. But I think from the Labour Party's point of view, it's just a case of the grass is greener. I think the problems are much more deep-seated, actually, than their leader, who is admittedly very unpopular, Keir Starmer, that is true. But whoever leads has still got the same backbenchers.
Because it's a bit like the Tories. It didn't matter who they put in, really.
The party is split.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is the Labour MPs now run the Parliament, now run the government. They run the government.
Yes.
They can't get... If they don't want benefit cuts, there are no benefit cuts.
Yeah, and I think that's where we are. What I would also add is, in agreement with Andy's comments at the weekend, is it isn't Andrew Gwynn's seat. That went cold a long time ago.
It's another seat?
Oh, yeah. I'm not giving that away on air. I've got a microphone on and we're live on TV. And that went cold a while ago, and I think Andrew Gwynn stepped up his campaigning again recently. He clearly wants to try and see that out at least until the election. I doubt he'll be allowed back in. The polls say differently on Farage. Andy Burnham, according to several polls, is the only person more popular not only than Keir Starmer, but also would beat Nigel Farage at a general election. Now, that depends what happens if he was in government and whatever else. And with regards to the two other chances, I will say I was a backer of him in 2015 and he let me down. He let me, and he knows that. He let me down. He tried to be all things to all people. And I do think he's learned from having a position of power and being a leader in Manchester of what you can do, how to play things. I think there's still a lot that's got to be done. I think he gets a bit too comfortable with certain media outlets and says things he shouldn't do. But, I think...
How can he take on the left, that Andrew just explained? How can he take them on in a different way? I don't believe he's strong. He never was the reason he didn't get it last time was because he's not strong. He can be strong as a mayor in Manchester because that's a small kingdom, but this is a much bigger thing. And how is he going to take on the problems of immigration in this country? Because basically he probably agrees with what's happening in the same way Starmer does.
Well, thank you both of you. We'll see you again in an hour or so.